Everybody's been wanting to see my Blu Ray stash. Okay. Greetings. Salutations. How's everybody doing? Two things. One, I got pancake powder on my shirt. Greetings, one and all. Welcome back to another tape here on the channel for you all. And long requested. People have been asking, when is it going to happen? When am I going to do it? Sure enough, I'm going to finally do it. I'm going to join the crowd and showcase my fucking Blu Ray stash. I got a lot here. I'm not going to go into a long ass description. I'm going to show you all the movies that I have so far, see what you all think of my little library here that I got growing. It's going to obviously grow over time. Now, the thing is that I'm aware that there's probably a lot of movies people are going to be asking, oh, where's this movie, where's that movie, and so on and so forth. Well, simple answer. To buy Blu-rays, you need money. And if you don't have the money, you can't buy the Blu-ray. So I was able to get whatever I was able to get my hands on over time to grow the library that I have right now. So I hope you all enjoyed this little tape. I hope you all are satisfied with this little library of films that I got going for myself so far. And I got it all alphabeticalized from A to Z. Now, a lot of the movies that I do want, they are on VHS, and the ones that I have on VHS, I hope to get them in my library at some point or another, whenever the fuck I feel like it. And no more bullshit. I shall get right into the movies and show you all exactly what I have in my possession, from the numbers on top here all the way to the bottom to the letter Z. So starting off here, I got 3:10 to Yuma, Russell Crowe and Christian Bale, solid ass western. Next up I got here is a Spartan film, if you like Gerard Butler, I believe his name is. Yes, it is. The movie 300. Fun little film. Next up I have here, I don't know why I have it, but I do, and I mean, it's not bad for what it is. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, solid little actor. 500 Days of Summer. Got that one. Next one I have here is a Stanley Kubrick classic that everyone should know and love, and I still got it wrapped up in the fucking cellophane. I think I'm going to take it out of the wrapper right now, because why not? But the next one right here is a Stanley Kubrick classic, and I'm proud to own this one. I have 2001: A Space Odyssey. Next one I have here is a you got Sam Mendes here, and you got the director of Skyfall, Spectre, American Beauty, Sam Mendes himself. Next one we have here is 1917. You had to read the bullshit on the back of the box to see who the fuck it was to memorize who did the film. Fantastic war film, 1917. Next one I got here is A Monster Call. Film that I highly recommend to everyone to watch. Great fucking movie. Next one I have here is, to me, one of the most important animated films of all time that I recommend to everybody to watch. And this is a 4K Ultra HD one. I got Akira. Badass fucking film. Next one here now, all my movies here are all good films, but every so often, it doesn't hurt to showcase a film that's like a popcorn film or a guilty pleasure, or you just have for the sake of having it. And I got quite a few of those in my possession. And this is one of those films here to where it's an okay movie and I'll watch it every so often I feel like it. And that is Alita Battle Angel. The visuals and just looking at the overall appeal of the movie is one of the reasons why I like watching it every so often, because it's a nice film to look at. So that is one of the biggest attributes of what kept me engaged watching it. Mediocre story, but it's a popcorn film for me. Next up, one of the greatest coming-of-age stories of all time, American Graffiti. Badass fucking film. Multiple stories going on at one time that correlate to one another, and in a way, they all connect. Next one, oh boy. I got the uncut version of this one. And let's just say, do you like Huey Lewis in the News? The uncut edition of American Psycho. Next one here, now this one's not really much of a movie. It's more of a British Broadcasting Channel, a BBC mini-series, but I got it as Blu-ray anyway. It is the BBC edition of And Then There Were None, 2-disc set. Episodes 1 and 2 on one disc, and episode 3 on the second one. And this, to me, is, I think, the better adaptation of Agatha Christie's beloved book. So, great little mini-series. Next one here, are you afraid of spiders? Because I sure the fuck am. Arachnophobia. I got this cheap for about $3. Next one here is my favorite Disney movie, because if you know me, I love cats. You gotta love the Aristocats. Take the sleeve off. Look at that. Ain't that adorable? You got Thomas O'Malley. You got the Cheshire Cat. You got the fucking street cats. Them in that goddamn hotel. The song is all quiet and peaceful for a moment. Then all of a sudden, they just start going fucking wild animal. No pun intended. Now, the next one here. This is not a movie that I like, but I got it for other people who enjoy watching it. So, that is James Cameron's Avatar. Like I said, a movie that I'm not a big fan of, but again, there's other people I know who enjoy watching, so I got it just for them. I'm a nice guy sometimes. Alright, let's get to the B's. I was the only one of anybody I know who had their best film, and Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson. And if you enjoy Martin McDonagh's story writing and directing, I think this is a film that you're going to love. The Banshees of Inisherin. Next one here is a film that I know everybody knows and loves. It's got a little dust on it, so get that off. We got The Batman. Take the sleeve off. Still wrapped up in the cellophane, nice and clean. Different element of what everybody knows from The Batman. It goes right into a much more deeper aspect, or more like a detective story. Next one here, we got ourselves the Back to the Future trilogy. All three of the Back to the Future films, Back to the Futures 1, 2, and 3, all together. I might as well take this out and show you all. Oh. I'm dropping shit real fucking smooth, yeah. So, there it is, the trilogy. We got Back to the Future 1, Back to the Future 2, we got Back to the Future 3, and we got bonus shit. So, very nice. Deleted scenes, museum, trailers, and all the other good stuff. I'm glad I got this, so I don't have to worry about getting all three of the Back to the Future movies separately. And a cool-ass photo of the DeLorean on the back there. How sweet can that be? Next one of the greatest historical epics of all time, Ben-Hur, the 50th Anniversary Edition. Next one I have here is one of the greatest comedies of all time, Jeff Bridges, John Goodman. And if anybody loves bowling alone, you gotta watch this. And if you want a good laugh, The Big Lebowski. Pool hall, one of the pool tables that I like to play at regularly, there's a pinball Big Lebowski theme right next to it, so every time I'm playing pool, there's always a quote that just naturally comes up every few minutes or so from the movie, and it's fucking great. Next one I have here, if anybody knows me well enough, you know I can't have a Blu-ray stash without Big Trouble in Little China. I mean, like I said, everybody knows me well enough, knows my infatuation for this film. It's all in the reflexes. And speaking of films that everybody knows, right into it, I got a poster of it right over there. And everybody should know that this is my favorite movie of all time, and just in general, and my favorite film that ever came from the 80s, and everyone knows my story and love with it. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. My story and love for this film speaks for itself. Now, the next one I have here, I don't have Bogus Journey yet, but maybe that'll change. But I do have the third installment, which was, it's a okay film. But I do have Bill and Ted's Face the Music. It's another popcorn film, but the finale is great. Next one I have here is, I got me Natalie Portman's Black Swan. Brutal film, but graceful. But did I say brutal? I'm going to say brutal again. Okay, next one I have here, one of the greatest comedies of all time, to where it not only pokes fun at almost everything you can think of, but the director pokes fun at himself. Blazing Saddles. Brilliant fucking movie. One of the greatest comedies ever. Next one I have here is one of the only films to where you can take a Saturday Night Live sketch and turn it into a great film, and that is The Blues Brothers. Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi. Okay, next one here. This is not a good movie at all, but then again, it was beloved and known for its soundtrack, and then again, Kevin Costner and Whitney Houston played in it. It's not a good movie, but then again, have it because of the reputation's following. The Bodyguard. Next one I have here is one of my most beloved coming-of-age stories that everyone should know and love. The Breakfast Club. When I was at a Savers where I picked this up, I almost walked out of the store, but after I saw it, I was like, I might as well get it, grow my Blu Ray stash, and I got it. The next one I have here is one of my favorite Audrey Hepburn films. I have Breakfast at Tiffany's. It's a great fucking movie. The next one. Next one I have here, if Tony Montana was still alive and he was able to get his life back in order, or at least try to, he ends up getting himself, that fucking stinks, he ends up getting himself a lawyer, changed his whole entire personality, and anybody knows, I am a fan of Brian De Palma, and I love his work. Carlito's Way. Next one I have here, I have one of many Humphrey Bogart films, and this is one of his best ones. 3 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Casablanca. Next one I got here for you all. You gotta love a Martin Scorsese film. He always used a lot of the same cast members of Robert De Niro, Sharon Stone, Joe Pesci, Al Pacino, whatever. But in this case, Robert De Niro is one of his most popular stars he uses. Gotta love Casino. Next up I have here, a lot of folks are going to have their own thoughts, but then again, you got Jack Nicholson and Faye Dunaway. You got Roman Polanski. Everyone has their thoughts about him, and I do as well, and they're not very good. But then again, separating the art from the artist, unfortunately, in Chinatown. Okay, next one I have here. This was my best film of 2005, and then again, I love Russell Crowe. Cinderella Man. Next film I got here, for anybody out there who wants a film about proper female empowerment and get a proper love of going through hell and rebuilding yourself back up, and that's what it says right here, more than a movie, a triumph of blinding brilliance. Yeah, it's one of Steven Spielberg's greatest pictures, The Color Purple. Just a beautiful film. Okay, next one I have right here is... For anybody who knows, my favorite actor from the 1960s, and you can say of all time, I literally based my life off of him in persona, and this is one of those movies where I based a lot of him. One of them, Cool Hand Luke. Alright, next one right here, this is where the story of Rocky continues, but it's not Rocky in particular, it's Apollo Creed's son. You hear the story about Creed. Alright, next up we're going into it's just an amazing film. The tragedy, what happened to Brandon Lee is just, it's sad, but he was able to give us a great fucking movie, The Crow. Next up right here, anybody who loves Christopher Nolan as well as I do, he gave us his own interpretation of The Dark Knight. I mean, listen to this. You got Christian Bale, Michael Caine, Heath Ledger, Gary Oldman, Aaron Eckhart, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Morgan Freeman. You got yourself a hell of a cast in this film. But then again, Nolan is a fucking badass, and look what he was able to give us in this one. Next up right here, Robin Williams. He's a national treasure, and this is one of those roles where he's like one of those teachers to where you wish he was your English teacher. Dead Poet Society. Alright, next one here. This is one of my favorite mobster films. If you love Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson, Marky Mark Wahlberg, or should I say the rejected New Kids on the Block member, no offense, we got The Departed. Brilliant fucking movie. I mean, just brilliant. Alright, next one here, the continuation story of The Shining, going into where poor Danny is suffering trauma and it continues haunting him. Doctor Sleep. What's his name? Mike Flanagan, motherfucker. See how bad I am with names? Mike Flanagan. Motherfucker Mike Flanagan is the only one who was able to give us this movie, because he was the right guy to give that project and make it work. Next up, we got ourselves another Christopher Nolan picture. We got Dunkirk. Opens up, goes right into the title, goes right into the fucking movie, 3 acts, badass war film. Based off the true story itself, and it's heartbreaking. Alright, we got a long way to go. We are going into the E's now. Next up we have here is a film that is directed by Tim Burton. You could say it's his greatest movie, and one of Johnny Depp's best performances, Ed Wood. Alrighty, next up we have here, we are going into, god damn it, we are going into a film that I think is highly underappreciated maybe, and it's a little fun film. I love Taron Egerton. We got Eddie the Eagle, based off The Skier. Alrighty, next up here, this is a film that I thought it wasn't good at first, but once it started clicking to me and progressing of what the concept is, it all made sense. Edge of Tomorrow. Badass fucking brilliant movie. Kind of like a Groundhog Day effect in a way. Next up we have here is a fun little Disney film. I think it's adorable. Encanto. Or Encanto, whatever the fuck it is. But I got Encanto. Cute little movie. Alright, next up right here, we have ourselves another Tim Burton film. As you can see, I love him. He's one of my favorite directors out there, out of how many I can say. This is where he took the inspiration of Robert Smith of The Cure and turned it into his own character, Edward Scissorhands. Next up, we have here a Steven Spielberg masterpiece. I don't need to say anymore. E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Take the sleeve off, and there it is. Next up we have here is, to me, the first movie was but the next one, it worked a lot better. We got Sam Raimi's Evil Dead 2. Alright, now we're going into the F's. Now this is a film where some people might be on the opposite ends of disagreeing with me. He or she or group, specifically he knows who he is. But I'm sure a lot of people are also going to agree with me that this movie is a lot of fun. Fantastic Mr. Fox. Now, Wes Anderson, his films are a mixed bag with me. Some I'll like, some I don't. So he's a mixed bag with me. And this is one of those films that he made that I really admired. Fantastic Mr. Fox is great. Next up here's going to keep it straight, simple, to the point. We don't talk about Fight Club. I gotta clean my fucking shirt. It's all dirty. Okay, next up, this is one of the greatest racing movies I have ever witnessed. Matt Damon, Christian Bale, they just gave it all in this picture. And that is Ford v Ferrari. Badass movie. Next one right here we have is we're going to go back in time a little bit. I mean, way back from the modern era. And go a little forward to one of my favorite sci-fi movies that I enjoy watching. You got Robbie the Robots here, and a little romance story where you're facing off your own demons on planet Mars. We got Forbidden Planet. Next up we have here, it's a masterpiece movie, and I think this is the definition of what a movie should be. It's got comedy, it's got action, it's got emotions, it's got heart, it's got everything you want in a movie, and it's literally the perfect story. Forrest Gump. And it's still got the tag on it too of how much I bought it for. Next up, this is the movie where it brought back that whole entire love of the Disney princess musicals and all other stuff, and people can like it or dislike it, whatever. The movie made fucking money, and it ended up becoming loved over time, and I'm sure a certain person, he knows who he is because he has a dire love for this movie, and that's all I can really say. Frozen. Christ, I think I just shit my pants. So, take the sleeve off, there's the movie. Next one we have here is a Armand picture. God damn, it stinks. Next one. Next one is Flushed Away. I love Armand. I gotta have Armand in my possession. Next one we have here, we gotta have another Stanley Kubrick. If you know the story, it goes into 2 acts where it goes into boot camp, then it goes into war in Vietnam. Full Metal Jackets. I got this for 30% off at Barnes & Noble. How nice. Time to go into the G's. We have, people are going to be wondering why do I have this, but then again, mobster films. This is a guilty pleasure of mine, so fuck you. It is Gangster Squad. Again, guilty pleasure. I'm aware it's a bad movie, but it's a guilty pleasure. Alright, I'm going to show these two in proper order that I have here. I have one of my all-time favorite classic films that I have witnessed. Now, if you're probably wondering exactly why the fuck my head is cut off, let's just say I'm recording this son of a bitch on my cell phone. So, the next movie I have right here is one of my all-time favorite comedies that I saw and helped me get into the love of film in general. That is Ghostbusters. And the next one I have here is, to me, a love letter. It's not only Ghostbusters and the crew, but a continuation of the original legacy going into the next generation, and that is Ghostbusters Afterlife. Next one right here, I gotta get Godfather 2. I'm not gonna get Godfather 3, but I'm gonna get Godfather 2 at some point. I gotta have the Godfather. I don't need to talk. I don't need to say anything more. Masterpiece. Alrighty, another one of my favorite comedies that I have. Oh wait, hold up a second. Shit, I'm going out of order here. God damn it. Next one I have right here is another mobster film, and you can say it's the greatest one of all time for those who say that kind of thing. That's the kind of thing they're going to probably say, quoting Jim Cornette. I have Robert De Niro, Ray Liotta, Joe Pesci, and it's another Martin Scorsese classic, and that is Goodfellas. Never put too much onions in the sauce. Now, speaking of 80s comedies, this is one of the fun ones here where you had John Matuszak as Sloth, Chunk doing his little dance, funny quotes going off on a treasure hunt. I got the Goonies. Ain't that an awesome cover? I think so. Next up is a film where it doesn't really much have a story to it until later on in the movie, but it does have a beloved cast, and it's got its great choreography, wonderful songs, and I got the soundtrack to it. Grease. I ain't getting Grease 2. If I do, then oh well. Now this is a movie where a lot of people are probably mixed on, but I thought this was a really underrated movie, and I think it's very unappreciated. I got a 4K edition of The Great Gatsby. I think Leonardo DiCaprio did a great job, and I believe this is another nice adaptation. Next one I have here, this is a film to where it gets me in the fucking emotions, and it should for everybody. It's a long movie, but I say that in a good way. It's one of my all-time best films in 1999, The Green Mile. Alright, now some of you people know I actually have a liking for those love letters to Hollywood type of films, and this is one of them right here. Hail Caesar. This is where you see a movie being made into a movie into a movie. Lots of shit going on in this picture right here. Next up, another badass fucking movie. because she's got a great ass. Heat. Next up right here, this is a trippy ass movie, and I got this cheap at Barnes & Noble's. Not Barnes & Noble's, at Best Buy. Trippy ass movie, and I got it for like $5. Sex, crime, and rock and roll. Heavy metal. Next one here, Catherine Bigelow, to me the best female director working right now, and she gives outstanding stories. I fucking love The Hurt Locker. Alrighty, next up right here. Now, I mentioned Paul Newman with Cool Hand Luke earlier. Now, folks, for those who don't know, I have a couple talents. One of my talents is I'm a pool shark. I got my name for, being the Jackal, the young assassin, because I'm a pool shark. This movie is what inspired me to become a pool player, and because of that, I was able to adapt my personality, my style, my look, my jive, my entire drive alone with Jackie Gleason, Paul Newman, in The Hustler. This movie inspired it all for me to become a pool player. Next two I have here. Now, I'm not going to get Temple or Doom. I am not going to get Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and I'm sure the fuck not getting Dial for Destiny. These are the only two movies that matter to me in the Indiana Jones franchise. We got Raiders of the Lost Ark, and we have my personal favorite, Last Crusade. Awesome fucking films. Next up is one of the greatest animated films ever made, The Iron Giant. Alrighty, next up we have here is another outstanding picture. If you love Pixar, then here you go. We have Inside Out. We got joy, disgust, sadness, anger. You got scaredy shit pants over here. And where's poopy butt emoji where it tells you gotta have diarrhea? Next up, I love mixed martial arts movies. And one of my favorite actors in mixed martial arts working is Donnie Yen. So, out of all of them, I guess I have the first one. That is The Legend is Born. We got Ip Man. Alrighty. Next up we have here is a crazy movie, but I say that with praise and good intentions because it's a mad, 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 mad world. You can't get enough more mad than that. Now this movie, just like I said with Avatar, I only have it because there's some people I know who like watching this kind of movie, and I have it just for them. And it's a movie that I don't like, but then again, I'm not going to repeat myself. I got Tom Cruise and Jack Reacher. Next one, Steven Spielberg, masterpiece, phenomena, Jaws. Think we're going to need a bigger boat. Next up we have right here, this is a film where some people may agree, disagree, or whatever, but I love Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, and I thought this was a nice little musical adaptation. This was Clint Eastwood's film, Jersey Boys. Next up here, I'm going to show all three of them, because I still need the fourth one at some point, or whatever, but I'm just going to show them all in order. I got John Wick 1, John Wick 2, John Wick 3. Alright, next we have here, I love Joaquin Phoenix. Robert De Niro was in this film, and I thought this was a great adaptation and a really crazy origin story surrounding Joker. And like an original orientation of like how Joker would have became who he was. Fantastic. Next up we have right here is another Disney film and one of my other favorites that I love, The Jungle Book. Take the sleeve off. Look at that. Beautiful artwork. You got Shere Kong, you got Khan, you got Baloo the bear, you got that big fat fucking monkey, and you got Mowgli the dickhead on there. Next one we have right here, this is a film where wax on, wax off. Love this picture. The Karate Kid. I am going to say that I thought The Karate Kid 2 was not bad. Next up right here, if you play Freebird and you are in a church and all of a sudden all hell breaks loose, well, you better be ready. And you better be a private agent too, because Kingsman, the Secret Service. Next one we have right here, this was one of my best films of what was it, 2019 or whatever it was? I can't even remember my own fucking list. Great, big ass cast. I love detective stories, and just the whole entire concept and franchise alone is brilliant. Knives Out. Next up, what we have right here is one of my, this is to me a beautiful animated film, and it could have been my best one, but Sing Street beat it. But god damn, this movie's just so fucking great. Kubo and the Two Strings. Next up, I have right here, we're going into the L's. We have a film that is just, it's one of those movies where you see a bat, you got the brains, you got the brawns, and you got a twist that you wouldn't even expect. You got cleverness. You got so many personalities in this film, and you got, what's her name? What is it? You got Kim Basinger playing as like the Veronica Lake impersonator for the work she did. You got LA Confidential. If I'm not mistaken, and in the comment section, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think LA Confidential was one of those movies that inspired the video game LA Noire. I could be wrong, but a little speculation from one's mind. Next up we have right here, Tom Cruise, you lucky son of a bitch for getting an Asian woman in this film, but you know what, it's a badass film, and I love it. The Last Samurai. Next up we have right here is a freaky film, but then again, you just gotta watch and see for yourself. Lights Out. Next up I have is a film that is, to me, it's where you can say your friends become a fucking vampire, and then all of a sudden you become a vampire and you realize they're vampires, so what happens? But all hell breaks loose and death by stereo. The Lost Boys. Alrighty. Next up is a film that I am going to send a recommendation out to everybody if you want to see the first ever animated film using oil painting. Love and Vincent. Okay, we're going into the M's. Whoop-de-fucking-do. We got ourselves another Humphrey Bogart film. And with this movie, we have The Maltese Falcon. Next movie that we have right here, Henry Cavill played in it. And I thought this was a nice little picture. It's not really one of my personal favorites, but it's a film that I can say I enjoyed watching. I thought it was great. The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Thought it was a nice little adaptation. Now, speaking of Henry Cavill, we might as well continue on with his ass, where he played in Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. People have their own thoughts about Man of Steel, and I am one of those people to where this is one of the only Zack Snyder films that I actually give a thumbs up to. I thought this is my favorite DC film in the modern world, and it's my favorite Zack Snyder film, and probably one of his only ones. So I give this one a thumbs up. Because I like Superman, goddammit. Now, for the people out there who know me well enough, this was based off of a book, turned into a movie, and I think I'll just let the title and appeal of it speak for itself. Memoirs of a Geisha. Yeah, there's a thumbnail for you. You know what? Huh. Assholes. Next up, you gotta love a funny comedy every once in a while. Fred Gwynn played as the judge in this film, but you gotta love Joe Pesci and Ralph Macchio. My Cousin Vinny. Alright, next up we got some more Audrey Hepburn going on. This is one of her best pictures, and I believe her whole entire wardrobe in this film cost a shitload of fucking money at auction. My Fair Lady. Fun little film. One of her later pictures, but great picture. Now this is a movie to where it ended up becoming a cult classic, and it's one of those movies where there's no story till very fucking later in the film. But the reason why this movie sticks out is because it's got characters that have personality, and it's got quotes that end up just for some unintentional and natural and ridiculous reason, it ended up staying with you. And it's one of those films where if you're someone who smokes marijuana, you'll probably have a fun time being high watching this film if you're one of those people who do that kind of thing. Well, for me though, Napoleon Dynamite. This is one of those movies where you can literally quote the entire fucking film and it'll just stay with you. It's a interesting film, popcorn film, but it is what it is. Gosh. Okay, Studio Ghibli time. One of the fucking best out there. My Neighbor Totoro. Look at that big blue bastard. But, you know what, I'm not even going to bother judging because it's Hayao Miyazaki and I love his work. And I can't really judge. I love this film. Alright, time to get into some 80s, shall we? Lamal, who was the lead singer of Kajagoogoo, as soon as he went solo, they needed someone to do a track, thus giving the main story that helped promote the movie and giving a leading title, and it's also on his debut solo album, Don't Suppose. Yeah, dropping a little fucking music fact for you people watching this. But you know what? Never mind that as well. We're going to get right into the story itself because it's one of those fantasy films to where it fulfills anything. Like, if you want dragons, or if you want wizards, or if you want mystical fairy tale creatures, or just an outer world dimension that'll just really be about princesses, or just going on an adventure, my God, you gotta love the never-ending story. Beautiful film. Okay. I gave this movie one of my rare 6 out of 5s. I said it's one of the best movies of the 2010s, and if not, I believe I'm correct. I did say it's the best film of the 2010s because Jake Gyllenhaal delivered a performance of a goddamn lifetime. Nightcrawler. Next up we have right here, I'm gonna fuck you up. Nobody. Who are you? I'm nobody. Okay, folks, next up we have right here, we're going to get into some James Bond. But before I show the next one, since we're in the ends, I might as well show this first. I got the entire James Bond collection of literally every single James Bond movie that's been made. Look at that. From the days of Sean Connery going into Pierce Brosnan, Timothy Dalton, and whoever. Got them all right here. Look at that. There's the first set. There is the second set of all of the titles. And then you got the third set. Right here. And now, since I got the entire Blu-ray collection of every single James Bond movie ever made, well, officially that I can say with this big-ass beautiful box set of this mumbo-jumbo ultra-sized little fucker right here, I can officially say I also have No Time to Die. The last Daniel Craig James Bond film ever made. Fantastic conclusion for the Daniel Craig James Bond. Next one we have right here. This is a film to where it really surprised me, but the camera work, the visuals, the look, the story, simple but effective. The Northman. Great fucking film. Okay, this movie's one of my underrated gems that I don't think a lot of people pay attention to, but I think it's adorable. Oliver and Company. Next one we have right here, this I believe this is the director's cut. Yes, it is. This is nothing but another one of the greatest films. Sergio Leone, the guy's a badass. I've said that word a lot in this fucking tape. But then again, it's a proper theme for a lot of these directors and actors and movies that I'm describing, that I've been showing. Badass is like the best word to say. Sergio Leone, you gotta love Once Upon a Time in America. Okay, next one we have right here, since we're going into Once Upon a Time, we got Once Upon a Time in America, and we also have another Sergio Leone film. Look at that! Once Upon a Time in America, and Once Upon a Time in the West. Henry Fonda, most of the time he's always played a good guy, but it's very fucking rare when he plays a bad guy, and let's just say he was an evil son of a bitch in this movie. But great. Okay, we're getting down to the next shelf. This is, to me, the extended, the entire, complete novel. If anyone who had the VHS or have seen the regular movie, it's missing a lot. You gotta watch the complete novel in order to get the full entire experience of The Outsiders. This is it's one of my not only favorite books, but it's, to me, a fantastic coming-of-age story. If I am not mistaken, if I'm correct, that with this picture right here, with they're all laughing, they were all supposed to stand there looking serious, but if I'm not mistaken, the director or somebody ended up doing something goofy, thus making them laugh like the way they did, given that perfect picture right there. Except 2-Bit Matthews is looking like a badass. Next one we have here is a film that's in the entire franchise. Look how fucking bald I am. This is one of the ones in the franchise where it's the only one that matters to me. And it's the best one out of the entire catalog. And that is Paranormal Activity 3. You feel sorry for the family. You actually got characters you can sympathize for. And speaking of horror films, don't eat cake by yourself anymore. Especially when you're looking down a deep, dark hallway. Parasite. Yeah, I got scared too. Now we go from horror to warm-hearted. Cute little movie. It brings a lot of smile, and it's a love letter to the Peanuts characters, and a love to Charlie Brown, Snoopy, Linus, Lucy, Peppermint Patty, and all those other Peanuts characters. The Peanuts movie. So adorable. Next one here. Anybody who know, like I said, the people who know me well enough understand my relations that I have with this. And Peanut got me this as a gift. Pretty in Pink. This is the Blu Ray right here, special feature film. There's no words for me to describe how much this movie means to me. In 1986, it's Molly Ringwald, you got John Cryer, and you also have, what the fuck's his name on here? Andrew McCarthy, excuse me. I can't even fucking remember the characters. I remember him as playing as Blaine, Ducky. Alrighty, next one we have right here. We got ourselves another 80s film. Beautiful story. You gotta love the Princess Bride. He's reading a little book to his grandson who's sick, and you got yourself a story with love, romance, giants, fighting, sorcerers, kings, queens, Neptunes, knights, all that beautiful wishy-washy fantasy stuff. Who am I kidding? The Princess Bride is a fucking film. Anybody want a peanut? Andre the Giant. Next up we have right here is another Studio Ghibli. Who the fuck loves Princess Mononoke? I do. Okay. Catherine Bigelow once again. We're going into her realm. Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze. Great fucking film. Point Break. Rock and roll. Alrighty. Anybody who knows and does know my all-time favorite Christmas movie in existence, The Polar Express. Need I say more? Alrighty, this is one of those movies where, what's his name? Nicholas Winding Refn. I am not too crazy about him whatsoever as a director, because he is just somebody where his movies just don't really agree with me. But this is a movie where I ended up making a passing and exception towards, because he ended up bringing a fantastic story out of this. And that is none other than Prisoners. God damn, I mean, holy shit. I might watch this again at some point, because I completely forgot how fucking good this film was a long time ago, but you know what? It is fucking great. Next movie I have right here, ladies and gentlemen, this is a Denis Villeneuve, whatever the fuck his name is. This is one of those movies where I ended up liking, because I don't really care for his filmography that much, but then again, that is minority. Prisoners. Fucking fantastic. Next one we have right here. Now, a lot of people are going to be wondering about this film, but then again, it's a mobster film. It's based off a true story, and I thought Johnny Depp did a solid job. Public Enemies. Next picture right here, and speaking of Public Enemies, we have James Cagney and Jean Harlow, another one of my pictures that I like watching from all those years, go back in the 30s, that everybody who knows me, and I almost fell there, knows that I like film noir, and this is one of those mobster films, The Public Enemy. Alright, continuing on, Quentin Tarantino. This is a lot of people's all-time favorite. Fantastic cast, quoted beyond every single scene you can remember exactly. And Quentin Tarantino knows how to make a good movie when he did all those years ago, and so on and so forth. Pulp Fiction. Does he look like a bitch? Okay, in the R's. Next up we have here, I think this is a cute little film for what it is and what we are given, and I had fun with it. Raya and the Last Dragon. Alright, I'm just going to say the title, and everybody knows this is literally my love letter for not only my love for film, but for my personality. And for people who want to know who I am and understand my personality and what I'm all about, this is the film, Ready Player One. Also 4K, too. Okay, we are going into some Alfred Hitchcock right here, and that is none other with James Stewart playing in Rear Window. Yes, I know I gotta take the cellophane off because of Barnes & Noble's bullshit tag. Alright, everybody, I got a 4K edition of this. Natalie Wood, James Dean. James Dean, life was cut short, but the guy could have had himself a really prominent acting career, but some of the movies he did, they speak for itself, and this is obviously, if not his greatest film, Rebel Without a Cause. Alrighty, next up we have here, this is a film that I've seen over and over and over again, and people are going to say that I'm Mr. Pink because I agree with them about the whole tipping method. Sort of. Reservoir Dogs. Obviously, Mr. Blonde, played by Michael Madsen, he was the best character in the entire film. He was a psychopath, but he ended up having logical reasonings. Okay, more 80s stuff. This is the film to where you get that stereotypes of nerds and bullies, but in the end, it works out perfectly. Revenge of the Nerds. Nerds! Okay, next up, one of the greatest racing movies that's ever been made. We have, based on a true story, Chris Hemsworth. We have Rush. Next up here, everybody who knows and very does know that the Bee Gees, Robert Stigwood asked the Bee Gees for music for his little film he's doing. Originally it was going to be titled Saturday Night, but thanks to inspirations of Night Fever, we ended up getting, and I got the director's cut of Saturday Night Fever. Get the fuck on there. Next movie we have right here, it's one of those historical epic films. It's a long, powerful, sad, and dare I say, it's a very, it's a movie that really speaks for itself. If you haven't seen it, it's one of those one-time watches, and it just haunts you. Steven Spielberg's Schindler's List. Liam Neeson's greatest performance I think he's ever done. Alright, now, I say my thoughts on Marvel alone has gone down the shitter. I think it's jumped the shark. But this is one of those Marvel films where afterwards, I ended up making an exception to and ended up liking because it's something different. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Next up we have right here, this is a Don Bluth film. This is his debut film that I think it's cute animation, but the story itself is for adults, if you look at it. The Secret of Nim. Next up we have right here is just a film that is just bizarre for all the right reasons. With Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, we have Seven. Alrighty, now we're going to get into something a little different here. It's a Blu Ray, but it's a Criterion. You didn't think that I was going to have any Criterions in my stash. No siree, did you? Well, guess what? I do have Criterions in my stash! At least a couple of them. And one of the Criterions I have, and this was the first one I was able to get, and that is Akira Kurosawa's, and to me, one of the most important movies that helped me love film in general, and just appreciating the entire works of story, directing, atmosphere, and just action, and just everything what makes the movie complete is in this film. And that is Seven Samurai. Let me take it out of the box and show it real quick. Look at that little beauty. It came with a book and everything. I'm not going to show the book, but it came with a book that I can read and goes into details about the movie and all that other stuff. Alright, next up we have right here is a Beauty and the Beast type story, and it's the Best Picture winner, and that is Guillermo del Toro's The Shape of Water. Next we have here, again, Aardman. I love Aardman. Shaun the Sheep movie. Best film of 2015 right here. It's a great picture. 1999, once again, this is one of the, if not one of the absolute remarkable stories that's ever been made about a man who is innocent, spends 20-something years of his life in jail, and willing to escape after there was a witness to testify for him that he was innocent. The Shawshank Redemption. Also one of the greatest twists I've ever seen. Next up we have right here, I have another Criterion in my stash, and I'm so proud to have this as a Criterion edition. That is none other than The Silence of the Lambs. Anthony Hopkins, just the performance alone is, oh my god. Book, there's the tapes right there. Oh, excuse me, DVDs. Never mind my fucking goddamn nostalgia, old ass. Oh, shit, I'm dropping crap all over the goddamn floor. Alright, book there. This goes back in the fucking case. There. Alright, so that's that. Next we have right here is one of the best musicals I've ever witnessed and one of the most beloved. Gene Kelly, Donald O'Connor, and Debbie Reynolds singing in the rain. Next up we have right here Leonardo DiCaprio alone. This is a mystery in itself. Shutter Island. Alrighty, we got more Studio Ghibli along the way. My goal is to get almost every Studio Ghibli film you can imagine. And next up we have is another Hayao Miyazaki classic, Spirited Away. Okay, Mel Brooks, a parody of Star Wars in the most humorous manner. The fucking alien popping out doing the Michigan J Frog routine. We got Spaceballs. We're in the now. Give me Spaceballs, the movie. You gotta love the innuendos, and you gotta love the fucking breaking the fourth wall moments. Mel Brooks is just a genius with that. Next up we have right here, James Spader is one of my favorite underrated actors who I think deserved a lot more prominence in the filming world, but then again, doing the Blacklist. But then we have Kurt Russell, and this film itself, it's a popcorn film, it's fun. Stargate. Alrighty, next picture I have for you all, we're getting down to nitty gritty. We have two badass women on the run with nothing to lose anymore, and it's Ridley Scott. I have Thelma and Louise. Okay, next up we have right here, you can never con a con man. You may have cheated, but I cheated better. Paul Newman, Robert Redford, The Sting. Every time I see Paul Newman, I just fucking smile. Okay, anybody who knows me, one of my all-time favorite horror films that I just absolutely enjoy watching, just purely love, John Carpenter's The Thing. Yeah, well, fuck you too! Next up, this is another one of those films where it is based off the music industry about a band who is trying to make it big, becoming a one-hit wonder themselves with their biggest hit, That Thing You Do. That is That Thing You Do, Tom Hanks' directorial debut. Alrighty, next up here, this is about a story about a woman who's trying to get retribution for her daughter's murder, trying to figure out exactly who did it and how it happened, and she's trying to get it back at the police for all the shit that transpired. And that is Frances McDormand in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. And I'm glad Sam Rockwell finally got his award, too, for Best Supporting Actor. Okay, another Criterion in my possession is another Akira Kurosawa. This is his version, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, of his output of the story Hamlet or Macbeth. It's one of those William Shakespeare ones that he was able to take the adaptation and turn it to its own look, and that is Thorn of Blood. Came with a book and everything. Next up we have right here is another Western in my possession, and that is Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer in the story about Tombstone, Arizona, about the Wild Wild West between the bad guys and the good guys. Okay, next up is one of those films that has beautiful visuals to it. You gotta love looking at George Clooney every so often. You get a chance at, and I thought this was a not bad of a film. Tomorrowland. Next picture we have right here, Gregory Peck. I love his pictures that he's done. He's, to me, delivered the greatest performance you have ever seen in any movie. That is To Kill a Mockingbird. Next up we have here, I'm going to show both of them because I got the two. I have Top Gun and I have the badass Top Gun Maverick. Introduction. And this one right here is the, you can say, send-off. Well, not necessarily send-off, but this is where the story of Top Gun really goes into what the meat of the matter is. Great fucking films. Next up I have right here, I think I got a fart or take a shit pretty soon. I have my all-time favorite film of the 1940s. The film that inspired the story that inspired Indiana Jones. That is Humphrey Bogart in The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. Fuck, that stinks! God, fuck, that stinks! Christ! Next up we have right here, this is one of those movies where not much dialogue is said hardly at all. It's mostly a visual presentation type film, because that's what it is. Story of a grandmother and a dog going on an adventure to capture a boy after being taken away. The Triplets of Belleville. Next up, Adam Sandler's greatest film that he's ever done. We got Uncut Gems. I think this is one of the best A24 movies ever made too. Alright. Brian De Palma, once again, I love his pictures, and this to me is my favorite one that he has done, because I love Kevin Costner whenever he plays in a film. This is his vision of The Untouchables, based off the television show turned into his own little movie. Next film right here, this is about the story about a man and his horse going off, and that is none other than War Horse. Alrighty. Next up right here, now, I have my own mixed thoughts about this movie, but the introduction itself, Jesus H. Christ, the introduction really goes off into what the film is about and where it's leading towards, and there's a lot to digest within just the opening moments. We got the director's cut of Watchmen. Alright, next one we have right here is a fun, good feeling, good time film. You gotta love Wayne's World. Party time, excellent. Alright, we got ourselves some more Studio Ghibli, and sure enough, this is the guy who gave us Your Name. We got Weathering with You. Beautiful fucking film. I mean, beautiful. Alrighty, next movies we got right here, folks. We got another one of those ridiculous, feel-good, you can say, silly films from the 80s that is just, it's one of those fun films. How would you like a nice, greasy pork sandwich on a dirty ashtray? From my heart and from my plan, why don't people understand? Weird science. Boingo, boingo. Next one I have right here is, it has a long-ass opening monologue, but once it goes right into the movie, you see exactly what the story is going to be about between the Sharks and the Jets. That is West Side Story. Alrighty, next up we have right here, ladies and gentlemen, for anybody out there, that's not my tempo. Throws the fucking seat, that is not my tempo. Are you Russian or are you Dragon? Whiplash. Miles Teller, J.K. Simmons. Alrighty, anybody out there who wants to live in a world of pure imagination, take a look around and you will see. How would you like to get yourself a chance to go to a chocolate factory, meet the mastermind and magician and wizard himself, Willy Wonka, and the chocolate factory? Next up we have right here, let's just say Somewhere Over the Rainbow is one of the first movies to go into the world of Technicolor right then and there, and it's based off a worldwide imagination, and from there you meet someone who wants a brain, a heart, courage, and going back home. Lions and tigers and bears, oh my, the Wizard of Oz. Okay, next up we have right here one of the most genius movies of all time that pays love to the world of cartoons. That is Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Nice booby trap. Alright, next up, this is a movie that contains the word fuck in every single sentence you can think of. And it's a Martin Scorsese film. It was my best film of 2008. Came out on Christmas, and it's one of the best Christmases that I'm sure anybody's ever had. And that is none of... Did I say 2008? I meant 2013. Yeah, write that one down for a fuck up. The Wolf of Wall Street. Alright, and the last one I have right here, ladies and gentlemen, it's a Disney film, but goddamn, it's fucking great. I don't know why this little lock is on there, but it is. We have none other than Zootopia. Alright folks, so despite with quite a few hiccups that I said, explaining almost all the movies that I had, going on and on and on and on, talking about it, but then again, I had a lot to fucking show here for everybody. Big fucking stash that I have right here, but you know what, hey, I know I'm missing a lot of movies, but then again, more movies will come over time, and this fucking stash will get bigger and bigger and bigger to where it's a goddamn erection that needs fixing. Even the fucking library itself will be so fucking big where you won't even need Viagra to help your boner out. But you know what? I'm sure people are going to be satisfied with what I have right now. So folks, with that being said, if you have any ideas or recommendations of what movies you want to see in my Blu-ray stash over time or at some point or whatever you would like to see or want me to get, write down in the comments below. So folks, stay tuned for more shit to come as always, and ciao for now.